2025, a lot of the monies that we were used to over the past 4 years will go away. A lot of the community-facing programs, social programs, and things that we all have come to love and really, really want to continue, they will end. Let me give you an example. Reproductive rights and programs around reproductive rights will probably be slashed on the federal level. On the state level, red states are most likely going to do the same thing. Blue states are going to start packing money and putting it towards addressing the ripple effect. So if you live in a blue state, you should be thinking about all of the women's health and reproductive health programs that are going to be opening up, because on the federal level, it's going to get tighter and tighter. If you are in a red state and women's health, reproductive health is a big area for you, you may not see as much money available in your state. However, because contracts and grants does not limit you to any state, you need to start looking at blue states. You need to start paying attention to what the blue states are doing and where the monies they are pushing out is going. This is a perfect time to start collaborating and establishing partners in blue states so that you can take advantage of the opportunities that exist in blue states. You're a business owner. Just because where you're at, they no longer want to give out that money, does not mean in another state they're not giving out that money. Welcome to the Contracts Collab podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Coach Ogo Okweme, and thank you so much for joining us in this thought-provoking podcast where we're going to break down the strategies that you can use to maximize your influence, your impact, and your income over the next 12 months. We are breaking down the strategies, the exact strategies that large corporations have used for years to impact their communities and build their revenue streams to the $1 billion mark. We're going to show you exactly how you can leverage contracts and grants from the government and other funding agencies to blow your business up, blow your impact up, not to mention maximize your income and revenue sources, and actually start to build something we like to call the infinite profit and wealth plan. So stay tuned, grab your notes, grab your pen, because you're going to want to write this down. Welcome. Welcome to another episode. So today I have got the 2025 tea, literally. So we're going to talk about something very, very interesting that you guys are going to want to really get your pen and paper out, because it's going to be the defining moment for 2025. So we're talking about today winning contracts and grants with President Trump. How to win more contracts and grants than you have ever in your entire business journey during the next 4 years as we have President Trump as president. So a lot of you, we have differing opinions. Some of you may have voted for Kamala. Some of you have voted for Trump. It's okay. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. As a business owner, what I do care about is how prepared you are for where the money is moving to once he does take office come January 21st or 20th. Somebody fact check me, 20th or 21st. But a lot of things are going to change. So this is going to be a couple parts to this series. This is part 1, where we're going to break it down, how to understand presidential shifts and how to understand where the money flows once new presidents take over. So let me give you guys a little background on how the political sphere kind of plays itself out when it comes to contracts and grants. So each president is going to have their strategic priorities that they ran on and they promised the American public that they're going to pursue or make sure it gets done, okay? And so every president is making all of these promises and telling the American public that if you elect me, this is going to be done, this is going to be done, I'm going to change this, you don't like this, it's happening in your community, I'm going to change it, it's not going to happen while I'm president. And so one of the things that I tell my community, I tell all of you, because I'm a very straightforward person, I do not sugarcoat. Sometimes I'm like, maybe you could have delivered that a little softer, but I'm like, nah, you guys need to know the truth. And the truth is, presidents will promise a lot. They will promise more than they can ever deliver, because being president is hard. Straight up. Whether you like the man or not, being president is hard. Whether you like Biden or not, being president is hard. Can you honestly Think, like, put yourself in their shoes. To have millions of people looking at you in every decision you make and questioning whether what you did was in their best interest. It's a very hard position to be in, but that is why our role as business owners is so pivotal. We are the advisors to the government. You guys may not believe it, or you may not see yourself in that light, but you're going to have to start seeing yourself in that light, especially as we transition into this new presidency. You are the advisors to the government. They do not know everything. They look at us, industry, professionals, those of you that have all the degrees in the world, you have the alphabet soup behind your name. They look at you all for the knowledge they need to make policy decisions. The problem we have is that most of you are not available because you don't know how to get into the space to make yourself available. So that's why we're having this conversation today, okay? I love this cup so much. So let's start the conversation with, as we move out from the Biden administration and we move into the Trump administration, what should you start to see? What should you start to recognize? I'm getting tongue-tied. What should you anticipate as a business owner moving into this new presidency? Number one, if you have not studied his strategic priorities, you need to study them. Study them, research them. They're probably going to shift over the next couple months and then become officially cemented probably into the spring. But right now, there are going to be several documents, several anecdotal pieces, several articles from various organizations that are going to tell you what to anticipate. Prepare yourself by looking at those documents, getting an understanding of where his mind is. Because where his mind is where most likely money will flow, because his advisors will help him make decisions on where money needs to go. Congress will also help him make decisions on where money needs to go and where budgets will be cut. Now, the reality is, let me give you guys the bad news first before I give you the good news. The bad news is, in 2025, a lot of the monies that we were used to over the past 4 years will go away. A lot of the community-facing programs, social programs, and things that we all have come to love and really, really want to continue, they will end. And that is not a bad thing. That is not a good thing. It is a business thing. It is what it is. And when you take out your personal opinion from business, you will be more successful. Now, that does not mean don't be compassionate and don't love your community and don't focus on what's best for your community. What I'm saying is, as a business owner and as you're making executive decisions about where to shift your company, don't make it personal. It is what it is, and the money will move. Your job is to follow it. So now, what can you expect as far as money we're going to lose? There will be a loss of money when it comes to programs that were federally funded around reproductive rights. Unfortunately, you're going to see that. You're going to see a loss of monies when it comes to anything diversity, equity, inclusion. It's on a federal level. It's probably going to be cut, shut down. Anything dealing with environmental, climate change, etc., those monies are probably going to contract, become more restrictive. Things are going to get cut. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Does that mean the issues that we are looking at and seeing in our environment are not issues? No, they are still issues. They will continue to still be issues, but the money is not going to go there. Now, does that mean that all of a sudden the government's going to run out of money and there's no contracts and grants that are going to be available for you? No, that's a lie. There will be trillions of dollars to be spent. We just have to navigate it strategically. So now that I've told you the bad news and we got that out the way, let's talk about the good news. The good news is that opportunities will arise in very unique spaces that you guys should and start to take advantage of. So let's start off with the number one thing that is on President Trump's mind: defense. holding our authority on the global landscape as being the powerhouse of the world. We are, how do I put this? Countries hold power based on how respected we are in the global space, how respected our military is, how respected our currency is, how respected our way of operating is, how aggressive we are. And like it or love it, hate it or hate it, whatever the extent of hate is, it is what it is. And as an immigrant, one of the things that I've learned is I've been in this journey and just looking at contracting and grants from the US perspective and comparing it to other countries, and especially comparing it to the country I come from. You have to play the game. You have to take your personal opinion out of it. Stay committed to who you are and your values. But in order to get into a position where you can actually make change happen, you need to be able to navigate the waters. If I'm going from one island to another island, the ocean don't care. That wave does not care. Those sharks do not care. They are there. And if you say that I want to go from this island to the next island, you either going to swim, you're either going to build a boat, you're going to use a, what's that thing? That little hoopy thingy that we float in, a floater. You need to pick your vehicle that will get you to the other side. In this case, the vehicle is contracts and grants. It is the best vehicle to position you to be a authority figure when it comes to how our communities are developed, are supported, how services are distributed. In order for you to get in position to actually make a difference, you need to get in the boat. A lot of us are getting too caught up in the fact that, oh, the waters are sharky. There's too many sharks in the water. The waves are moving too high and the boat is rocking back and forth and, it's hard to hold on. It is what it is. The terrain will be the terrain. Your job is to find the best vehicle, in this case, a boat, to get you from one island to the other. Because you have seen that other island gives you more authority and the ability to make more impact and more income. So my job is to help you get on that boat and navigate those waters. So when it comes to Department of Defense or anything defense related, a lot of the monies is going to be cut from all these other programs are going to go into defense related activities. Some of you are going to say, well, I don't have anything to do with the Department of Defense. And I'm here to tell you that you do. You do. Let's think about it. When it comes to military readiness, in order to have a military that is ready to go, whether it's to another country, whether it's to defend our borders, there is a concept called readiness that the government is overly focused on. When I used to work as a direct internal contractor in the government, especially with the Department of Defense, the Defense Logistics Agency, the Defense Health Agency. You guys didn't even know there is a Defense Health Agency. And they make a lot of these decisions internally around how we are preparing our military to be able to go to war. There is a space where they are constantly looking for products, services, and innovations that will improve warfighter readiness. This also includes nutrition. Some of you guys didn't know that. There is a space in military readiness called performance enhancement. How do we enhance the performance of our military? And if you are in anything nutrition, fitness, physical therapy, chiropractic, even technology, because there is a lot of technologies that help enhance our ability to do certain things, and enhance our ability to detect certain movements in certain areas, enhance our ability to be alert. Food has to be supplied. What type of food are we eating? What nutritional plans are we prescribing, etc.? There is a big space around warfighter recovery. And how do we recover when we are injured? And a lot of you are You are in nutritional based medicine. You are in spaces where what you're doing for the community is helping to improve chronic disease management, reversing chronic diseases, etc. Our military needs that. You guys just haven't thought about yourself in that space before, but our military needs that. So in 2025, I want you guys to pay attention to military warfighter readiness and translating a lot of that which you've been doing in the community for community members and looking at how can I use this to help our military so that I can take advantage of defense opportunities. Some of you guys do not even know that the Department of Defense does give out grants. They do. It's not just contracts, they give out grants, especially grants that will help them do research in looking at what are the best ways to improve our military. What are the best ways to enhance what we provide our military, to make our military stronger, to make our people stronger? You all know that without people, it's very hard to have a strong military. We have robotics. Robotics is good, but you also need people. And that's why they're constantly recruiting. But in addition to recruiting, they have to make sure they're ready. So you all have services that the government will be seeking out a lot of. The other thing you want to think about is our veterans. The veterans has become a huge place of emphasis over the last year, and it will continue to become a huge place of emphasis moving forward because there was a lot promised in the landscape of veterans and how veterans are supported. Even if you guys go back to how the previous 4 years of Trump's presidency, I don't mean to give you a history lesson and I don't mean to make you feel like you're back in school, but we do have to become diligent with reading and looking for specific pieces of information because that information in the past creates patterns. Once you recognize those patterns, you're prepared for the future opportunities. So if you go back to the previous 4 years of Trump's presidency, you will notice where he placed a lot of emphasis. And he was very bullish and very focused on veterans and the services they received, the quality of care they received, etc. And so that we can foresee repeating itself. And we already kind of see that starting even before he takes office. And so you're going to see a lot of programs improve when it comes to veterans and the services veterans are receiving, especially in the space of mental health, PTSD, recovery, workforce development, military workforce development. So veterans and their families, how are they getting jobs, livelihoods, etc., veteran homelessness. You might feel like, hey, we should already be doing all these things for veterans. They saved the country. We're not. We actually are doing a very bad job of supporting our veterans, and every year we have advocates always pushing for more for veterans. And I believe, I'm a firm believer based on what I'm reading, the patterns that I'm noticing is that over the next 4 years, we're going to see more emphasis be placed on veterans, and especially our warfighters to transition from active duty to being veterans. That's going to be a big space. So those of you who are service providers who have not thought about how can I support veterans and their families, and there's a lot of services that falls under that. It's not even, there are things outside of the scope of just defense. Just the fact that this population is connected to defense. It's connected to our military. There's other services that are going to be needed. So for example, childhood poverty affects veteran families a lot. You may not even know that. Do some research, get on Google. We have AI now. Do some digging. There are a lot of veteran families that actually struggle with childhood poverty. It's a ripple effect. If that veteran is not able to provide for their family, then the child is impacted, the spouse is impacted, and it has a ripple effect in society. So workforce development is also going to be a big area. How are we preparing our veterans to transition into the workforce? What types of jobs are available? How are we placing them? How are we getting them ready? If you pay attention to the new bill that was just passed by President Biden, if you don't pay attention, go pay attention now. Pay attention, guys. The signals are there. As a business owner, this is your job. I'm going to do my best to keep you guys alert and ahead of it, but you also have a responsibility to your company. to be alert and aware of what's going on. But a bill was just passed that increases the level of support and services that go to our veterans, including expanding their access to education around technology and preparing them to be able to go into the technological workforce and to be able to take advantage of these emerging, would you call it industries or sectors? I'm looking for the right word. But those are training contracts right there. Those are training contracts. That's going to be a big area. So those of you that are in the training space, think about that. I know I am so sorry to interrupt this episode that is so amazing, but I needed to tell you about our upcoming conference on April 3rd to 5th, 2025. And it's called the Contracts Collaboration Conference. Yes, I know, the Contracts Collaboration Conference. And it's taking place at Gaylord National Resort in National Harbor, Maryland. And this is where we are bringing together over 1,000, y'all, listen to that, 1,000 business owners, corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, political leaders, university leaders, and we're all coming together to address these community challenges, and we're collaborating on millions in contracts and grant opportunities. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where you walk into the room with an idea and a vision. You walk out of that room with your partners and the blueprint for your next application that you're going to submit right after the conference. I tell everybody, I'm not the type of person where you come to conferences and we talk. We don't talk at our conferences, we get work done. Not only will you learn the strategies, not only will you get insights, we have one of our key speakers has been able to secure over $6 million in 30 days. Could your business use $6 million in the next 30 days? She's done it, and she's dropping the details on how she did it and how you can replicate the same. And the key to your success in 2025 is going to be collaborations. And where else to find the best collaborators but at this conference? So you want to be there. So you want to go to theccconference.com. Again, theccconference.com. Grab your ticket. We have 3 ticket tiers. You can come to day 1, you can come to day 2, you could do the 2-day package, or you could be VIP. You'll want to be VIP because VIP sells out fast. But you need to be there. I don't care what ticket you grab. You need to be there because this conference is going to make the difference in your business in 2025. And by this time next year, you're going to be in a significantly different place and you're going to thank me for it. So let me see you there. Can't wait to see you there, and I'll see you there. Those of you that are in the nutritional and wellness space, you definitely want to pay attention to programs, programs that help with children who are experiencing childhood poverty who are linked to veteran families. If you're coming to our conference, this is going to be a big area that we're talking about. And I'm doing my best to have representation from some of our secretaries who manage policies around veteran families. So we're working really hard to make sure that the political figures you guys need to be in connection with are going to be there. So with that being said, let's talk about another area that you want to pay attention to. Again, this is just part 1, y'all. Remember, this is a multi-part series. Because there's a lot to break down when it comes to winning contracts and grants with the Trump administration. So the other thing you guys also need to pay attention to is what's going to happen in the health and wellness space. So yes, money will be cut. Money will be cut around programs that are focused on reproductive rights on the federal level. On the state level, it's different. So let me divert a little bit. Excuse me. So there's 2 sides. There's a direct effect of policy decisions, and then there is the ripple effect of policy decisions. The direct effect is literally what will happen if these policies go into place, if these decisions are made. What opportunities are they going to open up because they said A or they said B? So in the example of defense, because I know defense is a big area, these contracts are going to open up. That is a direct effect, right? So then you also have to think about the ripple effect. Contracts and grants will open up because there will be a ripple effect. Now the question is, who is going to put out the monies based on the ripple effect. Sometimes the ripple effect will not be from the federal level where they're giving out the money. It may not be because they may be constrained depending on the policy decisions of the president. But on the state level, because states still operate with a level of sovereignty. I use that term all the time when I talk to you guys. Sovereignty, which allows them to make their own rules and their own policies. You're going to see states address some of these ripple effects from the federal level with their money, with their tax dollars. Let me give you an example. And I've given you this example before, but let me give you an example, and I'll probably give you a couple other examples. So number one, because reproductive rights and programs around reproductive rights will probably be slashed on the federal level. On the state level, red states are most likely going to do the same thing. Blue states are going to start packing money and putting it towards addressing the ripple effect. So if you live in a blue state, you should be thinking about all of the women's health and reproductive health programs that are going to be opening up, because on the federal level, it's going to get tighter and tighter. If you are in a red state and women's health, reproductive health is a big area for you, you may not see as much money available in your state. However, because contracts and grants does not limit you to any state, you need to start looking at blue states. You need to start paying attention to what the blue states are doing and where the monies they are pushing out is going. This is a perfect time to start collaborating and establishing partners in blue states so that you can take advantage of the opportunities that exist in blue states. You're a business owner. Just because where you're at, they no longer want to give out that money does not mean in another state they're not giving out that money. Business decision. Okay? Now, the other thing that you're going to also see, and these are all my predictions for 2025, and we'll keep track of how many actually happen. Again, being president is hard. We promise a lot of things. I say we like I'm going to become president. I wish I could. Unfortunately, I do not qualify to become president or to even be in the running. I do not qualify. But I claim that I will be a president's friend in the future. Watch me. But we also need to think about chronic diseases. And we need to think about it from a very interesting angle because it's a popular topic now, especially with who the president is picking to take certain political seats. And so you guys know that they want to do a reshuffling, a reorganization, and a streamlining of the Department of Health and Human Services, DHHS. DHHS is the federal agency that does a lot of work in the health and wellness space. Not just health and wellness, but anything that impacts health and wellness. So anything that is a social construct or a social constraint that impacts your health and wellness. So proximity to grocery stores, your ability to get affordable housing, your ability to use public transit. They are concerned about everything that factors into your health. We may not use the term social determinants of health anymore moving forward, but the concept will continue to exist because science has proven where you live is just as important as what you eat and where you go to school, the toxins you're exposed to, your ability to get higher levels of education. Scientifically, we have proven all of these factors that are not clinical will play out in your health. So that means there will still be opportunities coming out of that agency when it comes to these areas, but you're going to have to look at it in a different light. So while they are reshuffling and reorganizing the Department of Health and Human Services, I want you guys to pay attention to chronic disease related topics. Chronic disease, and with Trump's pick to help run the Department of Health and Human Services, there is a push to really look at how we are assessing chronic diseases, the root cause of chronic diseases, where chronic diseases are coming from, what's in our food that's creating these chronic diseases, etc. And so you're going to start to see programs that are really emphasizing chronic disease, how we control it, and how we get to the root cause of it. That's going to be a very important area. So any of you guys that are addressing chronic disease, you need to be ready to take advantage of the opportunities that arise in that space, because there are going to be a lot of them. There's going to be a lot of them. And I think a lot of them are going to be centered around what is really driving chronic disease, not just, let's educate. It's not just education. I think moving forward is not just about talking about chronic disease. It's about how are we actually getting to the root cause and fixing the root of chronic disease. I think that's where we're going to transition into. The other thing that you're going to also need to make sure that you are prepared for is that in the past, there have been tendencies or habits to, how do I put this? I'm trying to say this in a very politically correct way. And I'm telling you guys these things because I have these conversations behind the scenes with our political sphere. And so I gotta say it in a way where it's politically correct, but also educates you in the process. So let's just say it's not enough to just be interested in the topic of chronic disease. If you're going to win a contractor grant moving forward, you're going to have to be very tactful around how are you going to actually drive change. So just because, I want to be in this space, it's not going to be enough anymore. You're going to actually have to prove that you can be effective in this space, because if you look at the narrative that a lot of the individuals that are in our president's sphere, in President Trump's sphere, they are multi-billion-dollar company owners. And coming from the corporate world, efficiency is the name of the game. We're very, very sensitive to how are we operating efficiently. And if you notice the narrative that's being pushed, it's that our government isn't efficient, that there's a lot of wasted resources, wasted time, and that's why they feel the need to clean house. My opinion doesn't matter. Whether they're right, whether they're wrong, my opinion doesn't matter. It is what it is. We have gotten in the boat and we are on the ocean right now, and the waves are coming. The question is, how are we going to navigate these waves? So the narrative of inefficiency is a wave. And that narrative is now going to force our boat to kind of rock back and forth, because we've got to figure out, well, what do they mean by inefficient? And how are they going to make it more efficient? So now when you're applying for contracts and grants, guess what you're going to be assessed on? Efficiency. Your ability to use your money efficiently. Your ability to drive a result tangibly, like a tangible result. And I actually think those of you that come from corporate who got into business, you're going to dominate in the next 4 years, because you're going to see the world in the eyes of a lot of the individuals who are going to take these high-level political seats. This is how they see the world. And if you can see the world the way they see the world, then you kind of can predict what their next move will be. So there are contracts, when a government agency gives out a contract, or even any funder, it could be a corporate funder, a philanthropic funder, a foundation, etc. When they give out money, they are asking for results. And there are times where the result is that we couldn't get a result. And there used to be points in time where that was okay, where the end result was there is no result. But I think as we move forward in 2025 and beyond, I don't think that's going to be okay. I think there's going to be an emphasis on actually attaining a result. Can you actually obtain a result from the work that you're doing? And so that's going to be key for you guys to keep in mind as you're applying, when you're setting your outcomes, or where you're saying that, okay, I'm going to educate this population, but education is not just going to be my outcome. My outcome is actually behavior change, something tangible, something that I can measure. Even though we can measure you being educated, because we can say, okay, well, you were able to pass an exam. But I think this new wave, or this new government that we're moving into, it's not going to be just anecdotal outcomes, like outcomes we just talk about. It has to actually be behavior modification outcomes that we can actually see a ripple effect in society, and we can track. And this is just my corporate brain talking, because I kind of see it that way as well. And that's how I've started to build our business as well, and our organization, is that we need to be able to tangibly say, what are we achieving? Otherwise, we're wasting our time. Now, understandably, government doesn't move like private sector. But when you have individuals who are from private sector now operating certain agencies and helping to set the tone of how agencies work, you're going to see a lot of those behaviors start to mirror themselves in government. So you as business owners, there are going to be some expectation that you're also operating in a very similar fashion. Okay. And if you don't have experience in that, or if you feel like this is going to be a new terrain for me, partnerships are going to be key. Partnerships are how you overcome a lot of these waves and hills that you're going to have to navigate. Don't do it alone. If you don't have partners, 2025 is the year to get partners. You need to come to our conference and make sure you get partners, because you're going to have to navigate this. And one of the easiest ways to navigate it is just have a partner that understands. Partner that's been in the game, that has been through multiple presidents. And that's why partnering with large corporations is so pivotal. It's so important. When you can partner with an organization that has been through multiple presidents and they have seen it go up and down, they have had to adjust how they operate their business based on what that president is setting as a priority, or that agency cut this funding. Okay, we need to increase funding over here. Corporations have seen it all, and they are the best mentors for you all. And that's why you need to partner. You need to get into our ecosystem, because these are the insights that we gain that we are able to give to you. Okay? So now, the other thing that I'm going to tell you guys to really pay attention to, or the last thing I'm going to tell you to really pay attention to, I'm looking at my notes right here, is making sure that you don't focus only on the government. Make sure you focus on philanthropic funders, because the philanthropic funders are paying attention to what's happening, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to put their money behind the ripple effect. When these policies go into place that are going to affect our communities, some decisions are going to be detrimental. Let's be honest. Some decisions are going to be detrimental. We are still feeling the effects of Roe versus Wade, and how uprooting that has led to major changes for women, reproductive rights. Again, your opinion doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening and what we're seeing. Infant mortality rates are increasing. For those of you that don't know that term, that means more babies are dying because those babies are being born with more birth defects. Okay. Whether you like it or not, or whether you believe in Roe versus Wade or not, the reality is there are effects of decisions. So more children are being born with birth defects, and they're forced to live with those effects if they can live past a certain age. So the rates of babies dying is increasing, which also means the rates of depression for mothers who have to witness their children dying is also increasing. What services are we providing for that? How are we catering to that? How are we addressing that? That's the biggest thing. Those are the things we have to pay attention to. So you're going to see a lot of philanthropic and foundations who have money to give towards community initiatives now pour their money into those things, into those areas. That's just one area. You're going to see a lot of different things happen. If the economy shifts, like a lot of people are trying to predict that the economy will shift, things will go down because of tariffs. If taxes increase, etc., food prices will increase. A lot more people will struggle to get their basic needs. Foundations are paying attention to that, the ones that have a lot of money to distribute. And if you think about billionaires, where they put their money, they put it in these foundations, because now the foundations can be accountable for distributing the money in a efficient manner, if I could use that term. So you guys need to pay attention to that. I think that is going to be the gold mine in the next 3 to 4 years. Foundation funding towards these programs and projects. And you guys need to pay attention to it. Don't just look at the government. Don't be overly focused on government. You need to pay attention to government, because government helps to set the pace of what your business should be doing. But don't forget the ripple effect. The foundations are going to really cater to the ripple effect. There is a lot of money to be made in 2025 if we pay attention and if we position ourselves well. Well, thank you guys so much. It was great having you for this last episode. Remember, this is just part 1. We have a multi-part series on how we win contracts and grants with the Trump administration. So stay tuned for part 2. We're going to dig into a lot of more of his policy decisions and specific things that are going to happen and how we can open up opportunities directly and how we get opportunities through the ripple effect. All right, guys, see you next time. Wasn't that an amazing episode? Oh my goodness. So many strategies, so many details, so many nuggets. I am so glad that we're able to give these informations to you every single week. But more important than the information we give you on this podcast, we have even more available to you at our next upcoming conference on April 3rd to 5th, 2025 at the Gaylord National Resort in National Harbor, Maryland. This is our annual Contracts Collaboration Conference, and we've been doing this for over 3 years now. That's amazing. And you're going to be able to be in the room with over 1,000 business owners, political leaders, corporate leaders, business leaders, university leaders, all looking to collaborate with you on over 250 million in contracts and grant collaboration opportunities. Yes, I am not joking. Over 250 million in contracts and grant collaboration opportunities. We are making that available to you in the room. So you are leaving with your opportunity, your partners, and the blueprint for your application so you can go ahead and submit that right after you leave. What other conference can do that for you? But if you want even more details and you want to start preparing for how to get in this room and how to secure your collaborators and how to lead with your best foot forward, then you need to join us at our next pre-conference demo day. Click the link below, sign up and get registered for our pre-conference demo day, or you can go to careerhaven.com and get registered for our pre-conference demo day. We go even deeper and then we give you insights on how to position yourself to be successful at this next upcoming conference. We can't wait to see you there, and more importantly, I can't wait to see you make the money and revenue you deserve and the impact you've envisioned in 2025.